soggy week, but we're happy to see you here. Suddenly we're in chapstick season, right? We've gone right from summer to chapstick season. But that apparently is Houston weather. I am the Reverend Ed Proulx, and I am the minister here at this beloved place of faith and hope and love, and we are so happy to see everybody here today. Today, we're going to start the service with some announcements. The first announcement is next week at the same time, and also on Saturday. Let me read it word for word as they wrote it. The Emerson Players is back. Woo! Yeah, you were supposed to cheer then. Thank you. With its first production since 2018, their holiday production of A Picture Perfect Christmas, a holiday farcical, is an original musical written and composed by fellow Emersonians. It's fun, comical show for all ages with a running time of less than an hour and a half. You have two opportunities to see it here in the sanctuary, free of charge, no reservations needed. On Saturday, December 14th at 3:30, there'll be a final dress rehearsal open to the public. And then the official performance will be Sunday, December 15th at 11 o'clock, so exactly 1 week from today, in lieu of the more usual Sunday service. So I am fond of saying to new people who come to the church, come 7 times, because the service changes so much from week to week. This week is an unusual service. Next week is unusual ! Service, and then we'll go into Christmas time. Today, we have 3 activities to tell you about. The first is, and one to not tell you about. The first is right after services. We will have coffee and conversation in the gathering place. And we will have Deck the Halls, which is a time when you folks, decorate the sanctuary for the Christmas time. That will take less than an hour. We have to be out of here by 1:30 for another event. So we invite and hope that many of you will come, and especially if you're like me and my Christmas tree's all decorated, it's just stand it up. So we don't get to decorate. So if you want to decorate something, come here and decorate with us after services. After that, we'll go to Lunch Bunch. Lunch Bunch is an informal gathering where we all just go and have lunch together, and that today will be at La Madeleine, which is in the H-E-B parking lot around the corner on San Felipe. So what we ask you to do is come, decorate the halls, deck the halls, and then go for French food at La Madeleine. On the 3rd and 4th Sundays, and last thing is we'd like to, the drum circle is the one I have to tell you not about. The drum circle is canceled today, so if y'all are drum circle people, it's canceled today due to an illness. And then if you're new around here and would like us to know more about you, there are yellow cards in the pews. You can fill in the yellow card. If you are new today, if today's your first time, you should have gotten a welcome kit when you walked in. If you didn't, please let us know. We'll get you a welcome kit. If you'd like to know more about us, the yellow card will get you on our database, and we will send out our twice, not 8, 12, 14, twice weekly newsletter to you so you know what's going on more so that we can know what is going on with you. And I think that's it for announcements. Did I miss anything? No? Hearing no objections. The food drive. The food drive, yes. One more week on the food drive? What? Oh, it's till the end of the year. So we have the food drive out front, and we have samples of what the people who are asking for the food would like to see. So if you would like to participate in the food drive this year, we have that there for you. And now Artem will bring us into the formal part of our service.
And now, as we transition to our sacred time together, a time of reverence, a time of attention, a time of intention, I invite you to join us in this time, marked by the lighting of our chalice flame. I would like to invite David May to come forward and light our chalice flame in the sanctuary. And I invite those of you at home to light a candle where you are to join in spirit. We mark this sacred time with words, important words that bring us into a time of collective intention. As we light our chalice flame here in the sanctuary, I invite those of you joining us from home to light your chalice of your own. Mother Teresa was an Albanian Indian Catholic nun and the founder of the Missionaries of Charity. She was born in 1910, died in 1997, and was made a saint by the Roman Catholic Church in 2016. Please join me in reading the words together as they appear on the screen. It is Christmas every time you let God love others through you. Emerson is our beloved community of faith, reason, and affection. We welcome all to grow in mind and spirit as we build a better world. We do this by gathering to seek, learn, and grow, and in the course of our work, to promote love among each other, our congregation, and the wider community here in Houston. Whether you're here in the sanctuary or joining us on Zoom or Facebook, we welcome you. No matter where you are in your personal spiritual journey, we invite you to live, learn, love, and grow with us. As a covenantal community, we aspire to promote love, fellowship, and social justice, as well as support for your personal growth. Please join me in our welcoming. The words are on the screen. Whoever you are, wherever you come from, wherever you find yourself on your life's journey, whichever your pronouns, whether you've walked in or rolled in or dialed in, whomever you love, you are welcome here. Now we have our presentation of This Week in Unitarian Universalist History with Richard Cummins.
Thank you, Ann. Good morning. Good morning. For the week of December 2nd through December 8th, I picked a few items in Unitarian Universalist history. In 1755, Gilbert Stuart was born in North Kingston, Rhode Island. He was a Unitarian who studied portraiture in London and Edinburgh and became one of the most famous American artists, painting portraits of George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, James Madison, and John Adams. He died in Boston on July 9, 1828, at the age of 72. On the 4th, in 1847, Francis Greenwood Peabody was born in Boston, Massachusetts. He began his career as a teacher and became a Unitarian minister in Cambridge in 1874. Bad health eventually forced him to return to teaching. Peabody held 2 professorships at Harvard Divinity School. He was a strong social gospel advocate and specialized in social ethics at Harvard. A gifted preacher and professor of homiletics, Peabody was the son of Minister Ephraim Peabody and descended from a long line of ministers. His key work was Jesus Christ and the Social Question, 1900. He died on December 28, 1936, at the age of 89. And finally, in 1899, on the 5th of December, Sir Henry Tate died at age 80. He was born in Chorley, Lancashire, England, the son of a Unitarian minister. He moved to Liverpool at an early age and was apprenticed to a grocer when he was just 13. Tate soon bought his own shop and eventually 5 more, which he sold to become a partner in a sugar refining company. He then bought the company, built a sugar refinery in Liverpool, and accumulated great wealth through a number of patents related to refining sugar. Tate devoted his wealth to philanthropy. He endowed the University of Liverpool Library and endowed hospitals. He is best known for building the Tate Gallery in London. That was in 1897, to which he donated his own extensive collection of paintings. Tate was an active Unitarian in Ullett Street Chapel in Liverpool and endowed the Library of Manchester College, which is Unitarian, in Oxford, which is known as the Tate Library. The Tate family continues to support the college, now called Harris Manchester College, the founder of the Tate Gallery. Back to you, Reverend Ed.
Thank you, Richard. With all the announcements, I neglected to introduce our worship associate this morning. Ann May is doing a great job. Ann May, one of the things that we like to say is Ann May serves the congregation in this way or that way, and that list would be too long. So we're just going to say Ann May serves the congregation and is much loved around here. Thank you for being the worship associate this morning, Ann. Each time we are gathered, we hear words from one of our 6 Unitarian sources, Unitarian Universalist sources. And today, in this service, we have put a lot of poetry in the service, just to be a calming winter poetry sort of day, just a smooth, easy day. We haven't had a lot of smooth, easy days recently. So today is a little mini poetry service today. And the first one starts out with English Romantic poet William Wordsworth. Wordsworth, who along with Coleridge launched what we refer to today as Romantic poetry. And he did that along with Coleridge, just to give you some context, in the period just after the end of the American Revolutionary War, which was a much bigger deal here than it was in England, right? This poem is called Calm is the Fragrant Air. So if during these poems you'd like to just relax a little bit and sort of almost semi-meditate, that's what they're intended to do today. Calm is the fragrant air, and loath to lose day's grateful warmth, though most moist with falling dews. Look for the stars. You'll say that there are none. Look up a second time, and one by one, you mark them twinkling out with silvery light, and wonder how they could elude the sight. The birds of late, so noisy in their bowers, warbled a while with faint and fainter powers, but now are silent in the dim-seen flowers. Nor does the village church's clock iron tone the time and season's influence disown. 9 beats distinctly to each other bound in noisy, drowsy sequence, how unlike the sound that in rough winter oft inflicts a fear on fireside listeners doubting what they hear. The shepherd, bent on rising with the sun, had closed his doors before the day was done, and now with thankful heart to bed doth creep, and joins his little children in their sleep. The bat, lured forth where trees and lane overshade, flits and reflits along the close arcade. The busy door hawk chases the white moth with burring note which industry and sloth might be pleased with, for it suits them both. A stream is heard, I see it not, but know by its soft music whence the waters flow. Wheels and the tread of hooves are heard no more. One boat was there, but it will touch the shore. The next dipping of its slackened oar, faint sound that for the gayest of the gay might give to serious thought a moment's sway, as a last token of a man's toilsome day. And now, with our chalices lit and our hearts and our minds centered, we invite you to join us in singing our first hymn. Our first hymn, the words will be on the screen, but it's also in the hymnal number 298. If you'd like to join us, you can stand, you can stay seated, but please help us sing number 298, Wake Now My Senses.
Each time we gather, we ask your help in fulfilling this church's mission. The success of this church and of the principles we support is made possible by the work of our members and friends and by your financial support. We honor that support by striving to live the mission of this place fully and wholeheartedly. Here at Emerson, this collection does not go to funding our work, which is funded through our pledges of financial support. This collection each week goes to fund the work of important partners of Emerson who, in our opinion, live out our Unitarian Universalist values in our community and in the world beyond our community. The act of giving of our financial support is both a transformative spiritual act and one way we live our values. 75% of today's offering will go to our December's Share the Plate recipient Ministers Benevolence Fund. The Emerson Ministers Benevolence Fund was created by you, the members of this church, to help each other in times of financial need. It is administered by our minister and is always strictly confidential. The remaining 25% of today's offerings will go to Interfaith Ministries Meals on Wheels, which provides thousands of meals every day to Houston's homebound seniors. You can go to our webpage for online giving, put cash or a check in our offering baskets, or mail a check to the church. During the offering music, children who want to attend their RE class may follow the teacher to their classrooms.
For our meditation this morning, I would like to invite you into the second of our three poems that we're going to hear today. This one comes from Canadian poet Archibald Lampman. Lampman, who lived only 37 years due to a weak heart caused by contracting rheumatic fever when he was a kid, is known as the Canadian Yeats. So to give you some idea of the line of thought here. This poem is called Solitude. How still it is here in the woods. The trees stand motionless as if they did not dare to stir lest it would break the spell. The air hangs quiet as spaces in a marble frieze. Even this little brook that runs at ease, whispering and gurgling in its knotted bed, seems but to deepen with its curling thread of sound, the shadowy, sun-pierced silences. Sometimes a hawk screams or a woodpecker startles the stillness from its fixed mood with its loud, careless tap. Sometimes I hear the dreamy white throat from some far-off tree pipe, slowly on the listening solitude, his 5 pure notes succeeding pensively.
The words for our second reading today come from American modernist poet Wallace Stevens. This poem comes from his 1954 collected poems of Wallace Stevens. The poem's title is "The House Was Quiet and the World Was Calm." The house was quiet and the world was calm. The reader became the book, and winter night was like the conscious being of the book. The house was quiet and the world was calm. The words were spoken as if there was no book, except that the reader leaned above the page, wanted to lean, wanted most to be the scholar to whom this book is true, to whom the winter night is like a perfection of thought. The house was quiet because it had to be. The quiet was part of the meaning, part of the mind, the access of perfection to the page. And the world was calm, the truth in a calm world in which there is no other meaning. Itself is calm. Itself is winter and night. Itself is the reader, leaning late and reading there.
Okay. Julia, I am looking at the script and I see what hymn I chose for the last hymn. And I'm thinking maybe that was a mistake. Maybe we should do something more Christmassy. So maybe think of it. You don't have to change. I know you rehearsed the other one, but if you can, maybe something more. What do you think? Something more Christmassy? I think so, yeah. It's a good hymn. It's a... Oh, geez. Requests.
Yes, the question box. That can be one of them.
Put it in the question. Okay, so as I said at the beginning, this is an unusual service. If this is your first time here, we don't do this every week. God forbid we do this every week. But what it is it's a question box service, and it's an opportunity for you folks to ask questions of the minister. And the minister will answer the questions, and they're in here. And in full disclosure, I have looked at some of them, just so that I don't, I don't know. But I don't know which one Ann is going to choose. So Ann's going to choose the question, ask the question. I will try to answer the question as clearly as I can. There's still 1 million left. This is from the last time we did this. So I'm going to try to answer the question as clearly as I can. Some of the questions are like, is morality relative? I'm like, okay. That may need more than a minute and a half answer. But some of the questions are, what's the name of your dog? So there's a mix of questions in here. So what we're going to try to do is we're not going to race through them. We're going to try to do as many as we can. And if it's your question and I didn't answer it in a way that is satisfactory to you, please let me know after. I'm not trying to be dismissive. I just may not have caught the whole... the other thing is I like to say here is I will try to make it clear whether I'm answering for myself, for the church, or for Unitarian Universalism in general. I'll try to make it clear. I'll try to make it assumed that you know. And if I don't assume that you know, I will try to clarify that. You ready?
Yep. Do you want
What? Yeah, it's green. Oh, she's good now. Well, you're good now. Okay.
Okay. Do you want to pick the
Oh, no.
Okay.
No.
Oh, no. All right. What does Pentecostal mean?
Oh, that's an easy one. Pentecostal is the 50th day after Easter, right? And there was an event that happened this is Christian, this happened in the Bible, where they could all talk to each other, and there were flaming tongues overhead, and that was a holiday. And then there's a whole religion about it, too. There's different versions of Pentecostalism. It's actually quite a fun holiday. I mean, that doesn't happen every day, And this time, let's try to keep them separate, because I think some of the ones I answered last time might have gotten mixed back in, so we're just going to throw them away this time.
Okay. Is there such a concept as sin in Unitarian Universalism? And I guess, if so, what do you think it is?
Sure. So is there sin? Yeah, of course there's sin. So the difference is that in Unitarian Universalism, the standard is not set by like a god or a religious authority. It's set by you or by culture or, you know, so if you sin against yourself or if you know that you shouldn't have done that and you did it anyway, there's a sin there, right? Especially if that sin is against other people. So can you sin in Unitarian Universalism? Absolutely you can sin in Unitarian Universalism. Well, it would be boring if you couldn't. Right? I mean, you want to live to some standard, don't you? Right? But the difference is it's not, the standard doesn't come from this external force that you have no bearing over.
And so how would you recognize if you've sinned?
You can feel it. You know, and your friends will tell you. You know, but you know that it's a cooperative thing. Sometimes you may not feel it, and your friends will say, "Hey, you know what you did was not right," and that's why we're here together, is to do that work together. Yeah.
This says, at this admittedly early stage of getting to know the congregation, so that might have been a question from last year.
Yeah.
And some of its history, how do you feel about the efficacy of a committee on ministry at Emerson?
Oh, okay. We're trying to get a committee on ministry going. Committee on ministry, if you don't have a committee on ministry, the minister is left to try to figure out whether he's doing it right or not. With the committee on ministry, you have a dialogue there, and that's an important dialogue. So yeah, right now, it's just been the first year, so the traditional committee on ministry does a lot of things. We're going to parse out several of those things, but we want to have some idea whether the ministry of the church is going in the right direction or not. Because what happens is if you don't have any communication between the church and the minister, by the time the minister learns that he's doing it wrong or that it's not right, it's too late. You can't fix it. So we need to be in constant communication. Maybe not constant, but we need to be in communication, yeah.
In what areas of ministry do you feel you're the most effective or strongest?
I did not put that question in the box. I just want to be clear. I don't know how to answer that question. What areas of ministry? I mean, I feel like I need work in every area of ministry, so I don't know how to answer that question. I mean, of course, administration, because that's what I did for 30 years. But, you know, yeah.
When you go to a zoo, what animals do you like best and why?
I don't have any idea. Fish. Oh, the otters. Oh, yes, the otters. Yes, my wife's like, you dummy, the otters. Yes, the otters. Yes, definitely the otters. They seem to be having fun all the time. Yeah. Otters, yeah.
Who are your role models and why?
Oh, good God. My role models in ministry? Well, I will say, you know, my mother, the way she's lived her life, and I want to, you know, my mother's a happy person. And my family, I love my family, and they're role models for me.
Was there a role model in your decision to switch from your administrative work to ministry?
Well, if I could preach like anyone, I'd preach like Otis Moss, but I can't, you know. Otis Moss is a UCC minister in Chicago. He's the minister at President Obama's church now. Well, I mean, I don't know where President Obama goes, because when he was Senator Obama, he went to Trinity, and I love Otis Moss. But I don't know what Otis Moss does behind the scenes. I don't know if I had all week to just prepare a sermon, it would be a different ministry, but I don't think I would like that. That would be, boring.
Well, it's certainly not boring around here. Okay, what is your favorite or most meaningful of the 7 principles?
Let's stir these up. These are all about me. What is my favorite principle? The interconnected the web of life. I think it's is that me? It's me? Hold on. I think it's a bad metaphor. I think it's not a web of life, because webs are nice and neat and tidy. I think it's more of a spaghetti bowl, but it works. Let's see if I saved the day here. How about that? I like the web, the spaghetti bowl of life.
That's good.
Yeah.
Are humans free?
Are humans free? Well, people argue about that. I feel free, and it's kind of the only thing I have to go on. All of y'all certainly feel free, so I'm going to say yes. Which is a big obligation, right? It would be easier if we weren't. You just blame it on someone else. Why'd you do that? Well, I don't know. God made it so that I would do that. I think freedom's a two-edged sword, right? Right. Yeah. Are humans free?
A sermon going. I've made your life into a movie. What music would you choose for the opening and closing credits? How?
That was not my question.
I have a suspicion whose question this was.
And how about that scene where you suddenly bust into a room to confront the bad guys?
Okay, so I will confess that before the service, I read some of the questions, and that was the last one I read. And after I was done giggling, what I decided was my opening and closing credits would be the Pat Benatar song, All Fired Up. And the scene where I burst into the room to confront the bad guys would be the Jeopardy theme song. Because I might need a minute to figure out what... I didn't know you guys were in here.
How do you come up with all the ideas for your sermons?
I don't know. I pay attention. I listen. I listen to all of you. I listen to the radio. I listen to Saturday Night Live. The ideas are everywhere. Yeah.
How does a society decide what beliefs are valuable?
Ooh.
There's a sermon.
Yeah. How does a society decide? So, society like a church like this, where we get together and we talk about it and we make a decision, right? Society at large, the society I live in, it's questionable whether we've done that work to decide what values are important, right? It seems like the only value that's important is making sure nobody can get in your way of becoming filthy rich, right? That seems like that's the value right now. So I think that how does a society decide I'm not sure society does decide. How about that?
Do you have any plans to educate the community and increase our name recognition?
Yes, we do. We're working on a couple things right now. I'm going to the communications meeting next week, and education is what we're doing internally. So we're trying to get people to come internally. It's a tough road to sow in this culture at this moment, because church is not as important as it once was. So we're trying to find people who do think church might be important and would want to come here. And one thing that we're focusing on, well, we're hoping to focus on, is biblical literacy, because we think there's about half of the culture around us has no biblical literacy. So when the government starts to force the Bible down their throats, they don't know enough to be able to say, yeah, but wait a minute, that's not what it says, or it also says this. So we're trying to work on biblical literacy, and we're really trying to work especially on biblical literacy with kids, because I think that's really important. Because if you only take out the bits of the Bible you need to justify this culture that we're in, you miss a lot of really good stuff, and you miss a lot of really ugly stuff in the Bible. So, yeah.
So will you be speaking to the legislature on this?
Oh, the legislature, yeah. Yeah.
Are the great variety of world religions in some way compatible in spite of their apparently contradictory theological claims?
Are the great religions compatible? Socially, obviously not, right? Theologically,
What do you mean by socially?
well, I mean, the war, religion has been the nominal reason for war, has been used to cause wars, right? So socially, probably not. Theologically, I think there are a lot of people who work real hard to say that all religions are the same. I can't see it. To me, they're fundamentally different on a core level. That doesn't mean they can't all get along. Like, the person you married might be really different than you are. That doesn't mean you don't get along, right? So, but I think at a core level, like some religions don't have a God at all. So what you do is what's important. Some religions, if you don't follow God's rule, then you're done for. So I don't know how those two religions get together. Like they're completely different. Yeah. So but there's this real push to so want all the religions to be pointing at the same thing, and I just don't know that they are.
Okay, we've got time for a couple more. Oh, well,
Okay.
here's an interesting one. What is Baha'i?
Oh, what is Baha'i? So on Sundays, after church here, after everything, the Baha'i have a crucial conversations, I think they call it. I've gone a couple times over at the Baha'i Center. There's a Baha'i Center in Greenville. Sorry, it was 2 towns ago. There's a Baha'i Center in Houston. They're very nice people. We've had a Baha'i talk here, right? We had, I wasn't here, obviously. So the Baha'i believe that the natural course of humanity is to goodness. And if you just leave humanity alone, it'll eventually end up on goodness. And
So that's society deciding what's valuable, right? it would be towards good.
Well, I guess you have to define goodness, right? Yeah, sure. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, good one. We got one more? One more. We still have a mess of these questions left. You guys were great, man. I think we hadn't done a question box in a while here. So we got 4,000 questions. Yeah.
I doubt that you are 100% in accord with the positions of the UUA. How do you differ and why? That's a good one to end up on.
That's the last question.
Take one more.
The UUA, the UUA is stuck. Who's listening? No, I don't mind. I'm not alone. The UUA is stuck on this paradigm that if people only listened to us, then they'd be able to change their ways and everything would be better. That's not going to work. We know that's not going to work. The UUA is focused on pure rationalism and getting the message out. The message is out, and there's a whole group of people that don't want to hear it. I think we need to stop trying to convince people that don't want to hear our message and just focus on the people that do. And the people that do want to hear our message, we need to give them ways to live their life understanding our message the way it is. Stop trying to convince those people. They ain't going to ever get there. So there's no point in doing it. So that's one of the things that I disagree with the UUA. There are others. The UUA is the Association of Congregations that Unitarian Universalist churches join, for those of you jargony. Okay.
That was a good way to
That was a good way to end, yes. And I was not politically correct, so I'm happy. Great. So we are going to sing our last hymn, our second hymn. Julia, what did you choose?
231, Angels We Have Heard On.
Oh, Angels We Have Heard On High, number 231. The words will not be on your screen because we just freaked out Angel and told her in 2 seconds which hymn we're going to sing. So you'll have to use your hymnals. Hymn number 231, Angels We Have Heard On High. Please feel free to stand and join and help us sing our second hymn. And folks, we have arrived gracefully at the part of our service where we must extinguish our chalice. I invite David to come and extinguish our chalice for us. The flame here in our church has served us as a reminder that our time here this morning together is sacred, a time set apart. In the words of my friend Brian Kiley, the chalice is now extinguished, but it lives in the hearts and the minds and the souls of each one of you. Carry that flame with you as you leave this place and share it with those you know, with those you love, and especially with those who you have not met yet. And I will add today, share the love of that flame with those with whom you decorate the sanctuary. We are so grateful for you to be here. We're sorry that those of you who joined us on YouTube this morning can't help us decorate the sanctuary, but there's always next year. We love to see you. And in between now and then, may you have a blessed, loving, and generous week, and we hope everything works out in your favor. And now I invite Artem and our choir to bring us out.